Good afternoon and welcome to this special coverage from Qnews. From Sharm el-Sheikh to Washington, the world is witnessing a pivotal moment as Egypt, under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, announced a historic Gaza ceasefire brokered through US President Donald Trump's peace plan. The agreement marks the first major breakthrough after 2 years of war, ending hostilities, securing detainee releases, and opening Gaza's gates to aid and reconstruction. While Egypt, the United States and Qatar are being praised for their mediation, Israel's government is now weighing the deal's next steps, and Hamas vows to ensure full implementation, with global diplomacy shifting to Paris for post-war arrangements. Tonight, we follow both sides of this defining moment, the promise of peace and the challenges that still lie ahead.
الآن في شرم الشيخ بتجرى مفاوضات لإنهاء الحرب.
I may go there sometime toward the end of the week, maybe on Sunday.
لازم أسجل بتقدير واحترام شديد للرئيس الأمريكي ترامب على إرادته الحقيقية في إنهاء الحرب خلال جولة المفاوضات الحالية.
Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said the world has witnessed a historic moment as the will for peace triumphed over the logic of war, announcing the Gaza ceasefire agreement from Sharm el-Sheikh. In a statement on Facebook, the Egyptian leader said the deal to end the war in Gaza after 2 years of suffering was reached under US President Donald Trump's peace plan, with Egypt, Qatar, and the United States acting as sponsors. His Excellency also described the agreement as more than the end of a war, a new beginning that opens the door to hope, justice, and stability for the people of the region. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdel Ati has departed for Paris to attend a ministerial meeting on post-war arrangements in Gaza, following what Cairo described as a turning point after the Sharm el-Sheikh peace agreement under President Trump's plan. According to Egypt's foreign ministry, the Paris meeting, called by France, brings together top diplomats from Egypt, the United States and the UK, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and several other countries, along with the European Union, to discuss mechanisms for implementing the newly signed Gaza ceasefire and reconstruction efforts. Abdel Ati also received a wave of calls from his Arab, African and European counterparts, expressing appreciation for Egypt's decisive role in facilitating negotiations and achieving the historic agreement that ended the 2 years of war, secured the release of hostages and enabled humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. He stressed that the agreement marks the closure of a dark chapter of suffering for the Palestinian people and the beginning of a new phase of peace and stability across the region. Earlier, Abdel Ati said the Sharm el-Sheikh talks included pivotal regional participation and that US envoy Steve Witkoff would join the negotiations. He added that several Arab states are expected to join peace accords with Israel once the Gaza war officially ends. Abdel Ati emphasized that President Trump himself is the key guarantee for the deal's success, and that Egypt remains committed to turning the US plan into a tangible reality that prevents annexation or displacement and lays the groundwork for a political horizon toward a Palestinian state.
And, of course, we are categorically opposing any kind of intention of expansion of military intervention in Gaza. We have a clear vision in Egypt.
US President Donald Trump has announced that Israel and Hamas have signed the first phase of his peace plan, marking a major breakthrough. He confirmed that Israel will withdraw its forces in Gaza to an agreed line as initial steps towards a lasting peace. Trump stated that the agreement ensures the imminent release of all detainees and pledged fair treatment for all parties. He hailed the development as a historic day for the Arab and Islamic worlds, the United States, Israel, and neighboring nations, thanking Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey for their mediation. The White House has posted a picture of President Trump on X, labeling him the peace president, following the announcement of the Gaza ceasefire deal. The post comes after Israel and Hamas agreed to the first stage of Trump's peace plan, which includes a ceasefire and detainee exchange aimed at ending the two-year war in Gaza. The caption quickly went viral, drawing praise from supporters who hailed the agreement as a diplomatic breakthrough. Egypt is preparing to host U.S. President Donald Trump, who said he may visit Cairo soon, following Israel and Hamas's agreement on the first phase of his Gaza peace plan. Trump told reporters he could depart for Egypt as early as Saturday, either before or shortly after the release of detainees under the deal. He said his visit aims to try and solve some problems in the Middle East, as Egypt continues to play a central role in mediating the ceasefire and advancing regional stability. The visit, if confirmed, would mark a major diplomatic moment as the first stage of the Gaza peace plan moves towards implementation.
As an example of Portland, and you can say certainly of Chicago, it's not lawful.
Later, U.S. President Donald Trump credited luck and talent for helping secure the Gaza peace deal between Israel and Hamas after months of diplomatic deadlock. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Fox News, Trump said the whole world came together to make the agreement possible, praising countries their joint efforts to end the two-year war. He described the deal as a global achievement and said the remaining detainees could be released as early as Monday.
True. Right. What are the consequences? Very severe. We're going to have very severe consequences. We're going to find out who's going after our federal agents. So when you look at Chicago, they've had...
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas welcomed the announcement by President Trump of an agreement to end the war in Gaza, withdraw Israeli forces, allow humanitarian aid, and exchange detainees. In a statement carried by the Palestinian news agency Wafa, Abbas expressed hope that Trump's efforts would pave the way for a lasting political solution, leading to the end of Israel's occupation and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state on the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. He praised Trump and all mediators for their role in reaching the deal and affirmed the Palestinian Authority's readiness to work with international partners to ensure its success. Abbas called for the immediate implementation of the agreement, including the release of all hostages and prisoners, urgent delivery of UN-supervised humanitarian aid, and the start of Gaza's reconstruction. He also reaffirmed that sovereignty over Gaza belongs to the state of Palestine, stressing the need for full administrative and security unity between Gaza and the West Bank under Palestinian law and institutions, supported by Arab and international backing. Hamas announced early on Thursday it has reached an agreement to end the war in Gaza, withdraw Israeli forces, allow aid entry, and carry out a detainee exchange under President Trump's peace proposal. In a statement, Hamas said the deal followed serious and responsible negotiations in Sharm el-Sheikh, aiming at halting what it called a war of extermination against the Palestinian people. The group praised mediation efforts by Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey, and expressed appreciation for President Trump's role in securing a full Israeli withdrawal. Hamas called on the United States and guarantor nations to ensure Israel abides by all commitments. It hailed the steadfastness of the Palestinian people in Gaza, the West Bank, and beyond, vowing to continue the struggle for freedom, independence, and self-determination. The Israeli government and security cabinet are meeting today to approve the first phase of President Trump's plan to end the war in Gaza. As sources indicate, the ceasefire deal with Hamas will be signed in Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh later today. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the agreement a diplomatic success and a victory, confirming that the government will ratify the deal. Trump announced he will visit Israel on Sunday, deliver a speech at the Knesset, and meet freed hostages if their health allows. Opposition leaders Yair Lapid and Benny Gantz welcomed the agreement, calling it a historic moment, while ultra-right Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich said his party will vote against it, warning of dangerous consequences from the release of detainees. The deal also covers the return of detainees and remains, with Hamas pledging to continue efforts until all Palestinian detainees are freed. Trump's visit to Israel is expected to coincide with Jewish festivals requiring major security preparations. So the United States has announced a major breakthrough in efforts to end the Gaza war. President Donald Trump confirmed that Israel and Hamas have signed the first phase of his peace plan, a deal hailed as a historic step towards ending 2 years of conflict, rebuilding Gaza, and restoring regional stability.
U.S. President Donald Trump announced that Israel and Hamas have signed the first phase of his Gaza peace plan, calling it a great day for the Arab and Islamic world, the United States, Israel, and all neighboring nations. He confirmed that Israel will withdraw its forces to an agreed line inside Gaza as the first step toward lasting peace, and that the release of all detainees will follow shortly.
But it's something I think that will happen, got a good chance of happening. I may go there sometime toward the end of the week, maybe on Sunday, actually.
Trump expressed gratitude to Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey for their tireless efforts in reaching what he described as a historic milestone. Trump further said in a TV interview that the United States will join regional partners in peacekeeping efforts and reconstruction, emphasizing that Gaza will become a safer place. Hamas confirmed the agreement, saying it ensures a complete end to the war, full Israeli withdrawal, the immediate entry of humanitarian aid, and a detainee exchange. The group called on Trump and guarantor nations to guarantee Israel's full compliance with the deal. According to Israeli media, both sides made key concessions during negotiations. Israel agreed to adjust its withdrawal line inside Gaza, while Hamas received assurances from mediators that the ceasefire will remain in effect as long as both parties adhere to Trump's plan. Humanitarian aid is expected to enter Gaza immediately through 5 crossings, including Rafah, while discussions on Phase 2 will begin after the Jewish holidays. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas welcomed the agreement, expressing hope it would pave the way for a lasting political settlement and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state.
لازم أسجل بتقدير واحترام شديد للرئيس الأمريكي ترامب على إرادته الحقيقية في إنهاء الحرب خلال جولة المفاوضات الحالية.
Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi hailed the accord as a triumph of peace over war, describing it as a new chapter of justice and stability for the region.
Palestinians in Deir al-Balah celebrated after Israel and Hamas accepted the first stage of President Trump's plan to end the Gaza war. Today, residents took to the streets waving Palestinian and Egyptian flags, firing celebratory gunfire and chanting in joy. A woman was seen as people spoke out about hopes for peace following years of devastation. Egyptian and U.S. officials confirmed that mediators have reached a comprehensive agreement on all terms and implementation mechanisms of the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire deal, marking the official start of its execution. Sources told our sister news channel, Al Qahira News, that the agreement, reached after intensive indirect talks hosted by Egypt, provides for a full cessation of hostilities, the release of Israeli detainees and Palestinian detainees, and the immediate entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza. The signing took place in Sharm el-Sheikh, the city of peace, with full details expected later. President Trump announced that Israel and Hamas had signed the first stage of his peace plan. That's according to Hamas sources. The first phase includes the release of all Israeli detainees and over 2,000 Palestinian detainees, among them 250 serving life sentences within 72 hours of implementation. An American official confirmed that Israel's cabinet is expected to ratify the deal, triggering a 24-hour timeline for Israeli withdrawal to the agreed yellow line, with detainees exchanges to begin shortly after. The Israeli Detainees Families Forum has urged Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government to convene immediately and approve the Gaza agreement without delay. They warned that any postponement in endorsing the deal could endanger the lives of their loved ones and result in a heavy price. They emphasized that swift action is crucial to securing the safe return of all detainees. Now we're going to cross over live to the UN chief, Guterres, who is speaking on this very topic. Let's go live there now and have a look.
And pay tribute to our colleagues who continue to serve with courage and compassion in conditions of extreme risk. For Israelis and Palestinians alike, this deal offers a glimmer of relief. And that glimmer must become the dawn of peace, the beginning of the end of this devastating war. I urge all to seize this momentous opportunity to establish a credible political path forward. A path towards ending the occupation, recognizing the right to self-determination of the Palestinian people, and achieving a two-state solution. A path to a just and lasting peace between Israelis and Palestinians, and to wider peace and security in the Middle East. This breakthrough shows us the power and potential of diplomacy. Let it be a reminder that the solutions to conflicts are not found on the battlefield. They must be forged at the negotiating table. And then, crucially, they must be fully implemented. The world is watching.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So the UN Secretary General there, Antonio Guterres, talking about this peace plan. He said it's the beginning of the end of this war and a path to ending occupation and to a two-state solution. He also says it's a tribute to the power of diplomacy. And he did say that the world is watching and they need to make sure that they implement all the different points which have been agreed to. The world is watching, said Secretary General Antonio Guterres. So now we'll go live to former Assistant Foreign Minister, Ambassador Dr. Mohammed Hegezi, who's joining us from Cairo. Thank you very much for being here with us on Qnews. We're just hearing from the UN Secretary General there, praising diplomacy. As a diplomat yourself, what is your take on what we've seen over the past few days?
Very important, very historical. Yes, true that through diplomacy, as Guterres said, we could have reached a conclusion to this bloody conflict and to this carnage against human beings living in the city of Gaza. Diplomacy could have passed many resolutions at the UN Security Council, but the veto of the United States stopped the justice from being achieved and led the Israelis to continue their attack. We could have saved many lives. We could have saved Gaza from destruction. We could have definitely reached an agreement that will fulfill the aims and objectives of both parties. But because of the Israeli full action and full understanding that any peace deal might lead to the reconstruction of a world opinion towards the two-state solution, they prevented under the right-wing doctrine to maintain military pressure and control land. And this did not lead neither to the destruction of Hamas nor to the release of prisoners. But through negotiation, we could have long past arrived to the same conclusion. Conclusion that could have saved life. Anyway, the agreement is historical, and President Trump has put all his weight behind, and it is comprehensive if the good intention is there. The first phase is definitely going to be concluded in a concrete manner. The agreement will enter into force as from 17 hours this afternoon, when the Israeli cabinet endorsed the agreement. The exchange of prisoners has been agreed upon. The ceasefire and withdrawal should happen according to the lines that the two parties have approved. And then the opening up for the humanitarian assistance to the level that has been agreed, 400 trucks a day, at least 400 trucks a day. And then we should talk about the Israeli withdrawal to a specified limitation, as well as the start of the phase of governance, where a technocratic Palestinian team will take care of the running of the Gaza Strip, and then we will definitely talk about the reconstruction.
Okay, let me ask you, Mr. Ambassador, how pivotal was Egypt's role in mediating this ceasefire agreement? And do you think there were particular specific steps that Cairo took behind the scenes to bring both sides to the table in Sharm el-Sheikh?
Yeah, first of all, let me also assert the fact that Egypt was fundamental in preventing the wicked program of the right-wing government of Israel to force displacement of the Palestinians. This is very crucial and important. That required from Cairo a lot of diplomacy and clarity with all parties, the United States as well as the Israelis. The second is the diplomatic effort, which was given all time required and all efforts needed to reach this conclusion, along with Qatar and the United States. And definitely, we've been successful twice. We reached an agreement in 2023. We reached also another agreement in January 2024 when President Trump took office, and with the endorsements of the two administrations, Biden and Trump, we've been in a process that should have succeeded. That they allowed the Israeli or the Israeli government to come out of this agreement after its first phase and after the exchange of prisoners, and that also bring the current fear of the Israelis not to fulfill their commitment to the rest of the agreement, satisfied by the exchange of prisoners, and run away with their theft. And I don't think that anybody should allow that. President Trump, who will show up in Sharm el-Sheikh on Sunday, is a guarantor to the agreement, and enough that all the parties to this conflict have endorsed the agreement. We heard Guterres a couple of minutes ago. The whole world is watching, and I'm sure that there will be a lot of restrictions over the Israeli government if they want to act in a way that they have acted early this year. The whole world community showed the chance, showed the opportunities, and should support it till its fulfillment.
Yes, I mean, those words, they were very strong words, weren't they, from Guterres? The world is watching. And it does seem like really they're talking to Israel there, because Israel doesn't have a very good track record in this area. Are there particular mechanisms in place to guarantee that both Israel and Hamas, of course, as well, adhere to the commitments in the first phase?
First, I think the much clearer guarantee is the American president adherence to the agreement that carry his name. This is Trump's plan, and he is responsible, and his country, to make the Israeli comply with the terms of this agreement. Not only the first phase, but further, when we talk about the installation of a technocratic Palestinian Authority, which has to be linked also to the PNA, the Palestinian National Authority in Ramallah. And after that, we should open up the gates for reconstruction of Gaza and for a dialogue that the plan of President Trump has talked about to facilitate negotiation between the Israelis and the Palestinians to reach a comprehensive agreement based on the two-state solution. While we are following the steps of the Trump roadmap, we shouldn't forget that we have a very important démarche and document issued in New York, the two-state solution document, that has guaranteed also the recognition of more than 11 countries of the Palestinian state. This diplomatic task or diplomatic and UN-sponsored plan is also as important as President Trump's effort, and we should bring the two maps together, the existing roadmap of President Trump as well as the two-state solution document issued in New York, and this New York document of the two-state solution carry the endorsement of the UN, and I think it has legitimacy and it can prevail and support the political phase of President Trump, where the world community should adhere to one solution, which is the two-state solution.
And of course, going back to Egypt, I mean, Egypt playing such an important role in reaching this ceasefire, obviously has many very talented diplomats and mediators. What does this say about Egypt's position as a regional power and also as a diplomatic influence globally?
As I said, Egypt did succeed not only in reaching this agreement, but also in confronting the most wicked plan of forced displacement of the Palestinians. It was clear for us from day one that in the core of the Israeli right-wing plan was the forced displacement of the Palestinians. And we also supported the protection of the West Bank and not to be annexed by the Israelis, and we also succeeded in that. Not saying that alone, the Arab front was very strong. The international community, Europe in particular, has moved. The popular streets has moved. There is an international acceptance to the legitimacy of the Palestinian position, and Egypt will lead this towards supporting President Trump's plan and will enhance the international drive towards the two-state solution, trying to between the two plans to make sure that the future will bring a Palestinian state. We have to keep an eye on the Israeli government in its adherence and fulfillment of its obligation according to the Trump plan. We will immediately pull after the installation of the technocratic authority in Gaza. We will call for an international conference along with the UN and the Palestinian Authority for the reconstruction of Gaza for its people while the people are on its territory, on their territory.
Okay.
We will definitely work towards this with vigor, intention, and force.
Well, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Dr. Hegazi, but especially on a day like today to get your knowledge. Thank you very much, Ambassador Dr. Mohammed Hegazi, joining us from Cairo, the former Assistant Foreign Minister. Now, extensive coordination between the Egyptian and Qatari mediators has played a vital role, as we've just been hearing, in reaching the Gaza agreement. The deal was finalized following comprehensive meetings and consultations among all participating delegations. This comes as communication channels remain open to finalize the agreement's details, while strict security measures have been implemented to protect the attending delegations throughout the negotiations. Well, that brings us to the end of our special coverage for now, but we will be following this story and bringing you any breaking news throughout the day here at Q News. So please do stay with us, and you can check us out anytime you like at Q News EGY on our socials. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more here on Q.